Good morning, everyone. First, thank you for attending, and I must thank Deliver and Deliver team for organizing such a great event in such a beautiful city. Being among top-notch market players today is a great pleasure. My name is Michael Boutros. I'm a partner at Shahid Law Firm in Egypt. It's a law firm that comprises of 100 plus lawyers. I head the corporate and commercial and M&A's practice group within the firm. And I'm joined here by a remarkable CFO and also a very dear friend of mine. So I'll let her introduce herself.
Thank you, Michael, and thank you to Deliver organizers for having us today. I'm so happy to have such an audience as well. So I'm Sally. I'm a mother of 2 kids, and I'm here today to represent Decathlon, a company that is very dear to my heart. I've been working there for more than 16 years. So actually since I ever graduated. And the very special point is that my very first 3 years in this company was in supply chain. So it was not intended at all. It just happened by pure luck. And I'm very grateful today to have started with such an experience because it helped me build in my mind the link and link the dots between all different stakeholders. I mean, sometimes we can work alone, we'll achieve great results, every team, perhaps. We might have conflicts, but I think when we understand the opportunities and the challenges for each stakeholder inside the company, we can make much better results altogether, even though if it will go slower, but it will go further. So again, I'm very happy to be here today, accompanied by Michael, who also happens to be a very good lawyer. And a lot of time when we struggle, legal opinion, guess what, can be very helpful for the business to find solution. So we're basically working as business partners to the supply chain, among other teams. And this is, I mean, it's a crucial part of any business.
Sally, it's not like we coordinated the topic and agreed on the questions, which obviously we did, but I happen to have a question for you. What's Decathlon business model in Egypt, and how do you play between finance, supply chain, logistics to achieve the ultimate customer protection while still being compliant with laws and regulations?
Well, Decathlon in Egypt started in 2009 with production because we also produce. So for those who don't know Decathlon, we conceive and we invent our products. So if you go to any store of Decathlon, you'll find like 90% at least of products that are imagined, invented, and branded by Decathlon, different brands. And we have the other sport brands. So we actually have an entire value chain of services, starting from production all the way through customers. So passing by logistics, supply chain, support teams like finance, legal, of course, legal and compliance, all the way. We also have the e-commerce platform, the B2B. So you can imagine that each and every decision in each and every team can just impact everything. I'll give you an example. Someone working in a supply team who will have a decision to change a price or a delivery time. As simple as this, but you can just imagine the repercussions in terms of finance, in terms of transfer pricing, in terms of profitability, price elasticity. So, and this is why we always say that even though it's a huge company with 100,000 teammates around the world, decisions should be taken in a collaborative way. Because I can decide to protect my cash flow, for example, but then I will penalize the supply team. They will not have the products on time. The retail will suffer because they will never have enough products to sell. I can decide to postpone some deliveries because I have, again, a problem in cash flow. But guess what? I will miss the summer season, and all my summer products will arrive right after summer for winter, and I will keep them for at least 1 year, and I will bear all the stock lifetime and will penalize even more my cash flow. So, and of course, when we operate, sometimes we tend to forget some compliance rules because we sell internally to each other. I told you there is the production, the supply chain, the retail, and it's like customer to buyer to customer in each and every step. And if I don't build my pricing structure correctly, I can put the company in a risk. If I don't respect the transfer pricing for the internal selling price, if I don't understand well the taxation impacts, I'll put the entire value chain in compromise. So maybe, Michael, you can help me as well, adding the touch of legal dimension.
No, I can definitely help, but legal team, they tend to complicate a bit things, huh? But there is a misperception that when a matter is deferred to legal and an agreement is being drafted, it's just paperwork, and that you only go check the contract or the agreement whenever there is a dispute or disagreement between the different stakeholders or parties. Otherwise, the agreement is being put aside. No one really looks at the contract, and we consider this as just paperwork to be kept in the drawers. But actually, I think I'll take from what you're saying. You're basing your business model on intercompany agreements. And I think that's a very strategic advantage for the group, because technically, and actually it is an advantage so long as there is a proper structure legally and financially. Because whenever there is, whenever the supply chain is being done within the same group, definitely there is, you control the cash flow, distribution of dividends, but the cash flow does not, or the benefit does not follow the trucks. They follow the contract. You want to make sure that you mitigate the risk, because the risk will be always within the group. When you deal with a third party, you pay the invoice and the risk is over. When you deal within intercompany arrangements, you always have the risk within your group. So when you structure the contract properly, you want to, first of all, have a clear mindset on the cash flow, distribution of dividends, which entity will produce, which entity will sell, which entity will handle the logistics. And you need to make sure that the risk is being controlled, either operational risk, financial, tax, and legal. And in the same time, when, for example, you have an issue with an operational issue with one entity, the main thing that comes to mind when you deal with a third party is to check the contract, see if you can have a claim or otherwise. But when you have this issue with an entity that it is within the same group, it complicates the issue. It complicates how you can claim your right. And actually, I'm a bit curious. How do you deal with sister companies, mother companies, whenever you have an issue in terms of the deliverables, cash flow? How do you control these issues from a financial perspective?
Well, that's a very nice question because indeed, as a kind of startup in Egypt, because the retail opened in 2019 and it had absolutely nothing to start with. So, of course, the business model was built exclusively on intercompany loans, and intercompany loans means debt, and that means interest rates. And within the context of Egypt, the economic context of Egypt for the past few years, you can imagine how this impacts each and every step afterwards. Meaning that when we have interest rate around 25% that we have to pay to the group for a startup, definitely it doesn't help. And sometimes the group or the United team has a big role to decide to boost the business by, for example, giving different alternatives, either financing the products right away or proposing a capital increase or debt to equity conversion or many kind of practices. It will go to you again because each and every decision will have different impacts on taxation. And when I talk taxation, it's not only for Decathlon Egypt, but there is the mutual impact on Decathlon Group.
Right. I think the issue that you need to observe and the risk that should be mitigated, which combines a bit the finance, supply chain, and legal, is that you have your stock in one country, the cash trapped in another country, and a tax authority claiming tax over profits in a third country. And that's the risk associated with having different subsidiaries and sister companies in different jurisdictions, all linked through a commercial agreement. And it goes back to the importance of structuring properly the contract and observing how the contract can help to properly regulate the cash flow from the mother company up until the subsidiary and back for the upstream revenue through either distribution of dividends, payment for the supply, or like you were saying, through a capital increase. And just to give you an idea on how a capital increase can regulate intercompany debts, that could be done through a debt-to-equity conversion, like you're saying, whereby the local regulator will study the debt, the intercompany debt, and will basically issue shares to pay for the debt. So if you have a debt against a local company, so the local company will issue shares to pay you this debt instead of paying you in cash. And it's one of the possibilities, because you have a lot of possibilities for the payment of debt. So it's either in cash or in kind through the through shares. And again, it is one of the important items to be considered in a contract. When you, for example, when you give an intercompany loan, you need to have the option either to pay in cash or to pay in kind through issuance of shares. And it depends on the cash flow and the availability of cash, and not only cash, but also foreign currency, because sometimes the revenue is in a local currency, while the distribution of dividends will require availability of a foreign currency to pay the mother company or the producer. So it depends again on how you need to, how you want to manage your cash flow and how you want to manage the profit distribution. I have a question talking about cash flow. I'm a bit curious about the different perception that we may have between finance and legal on how to scale the business through sustainability. Actually, from a legal perspective, by sustainability, I hear consumer protection, competition, anti-competition acts, but I think that we may have a different perception between legal and finance and operation on the sustainability. How do you see sustainability from your perspective?
Well, I think the word sustainability is a very big word because it includes a lot of completely different things. We can talk about the business model. We can have a sustainable business model. It means that the business model is growing, is flourishing, and is worth it. So here we talk about profitability. But we can also talk about the human sustainability, is how to respect the human beings, the people working for the company, and how to make sure that in each and every process, those people are still sustainable to themselves and to the business needs. Last but not least, and this is what we tackle most in Decathlon, is the sustainable growth and the sustainable turnover. Because indeed, we can produce more, to sell more, and have more profits. But there is also another solution that showed to be very interesting and very adaptable to the world we're living in today, within a context of inflation, of price increases, and at the same time respecting the environment. So in Decathlon, we're working a lot on second life, buyback, rentals, meaning that I have my kids, I have got them bicycles and scooters. 2 years later, they don't need them anymore. It's not their size. So eventually, we'll go in Decathlon. They'll just buy them back, no matter how long have you bought them for, no matter from which country. So maybe I bought it from France, but I'll go to Egypt, and they'll just decide to give it back to the store. I'll get a gift voucher to buy new material, new equipment adapted. I'm helping my pocket. I'm helping the environment. I'm helping my kids. And I'm doing good for the business. And this is actually practices that emerged recently when we talk about sustainability, Paris Agreement, and stuff like that. However, in Egypt or in some countries, this should be regulated, because selling a product for the second time or recycling a product and being capable of reselling it again, or even proposing workshop improvements or how to say reparation of products, needs some legal framework to make sure that I'm compliant with the law and I'm respecting the consumer rights. So maybe you can give me as well your opinion.
Well, I see two perspectives. The first one is consumer protection by, like you're saying, product recall, for example. And the second one is that's the vertical kind of perspective, and there is the horizontal kind of perspective, which is the relationship between the company and its competitors, and how they can work in a proper legal protective environment, yet while preserving their own rights and benefits and everything, still protecting the company's interest, that's from one side, and the interest of the customers and consumers from the other side. We do have, of course, a legal framework on protection of the competition, the free competition, and the protection of the customer through the consumer protection law and the products recall. And but I have just a question on back to the business model. It's a bit linked. Do you think it's proper to deal within the same group as if you're dealing with a third party? I mean, you're saying the transfer pricing, for example. So I think when you observe the discipline of dealing with a third party, still while working within the intercompany arrangements, you give certain form of credibility and in the same time you protect your contract, you protect, you avoid to the extent possible tax claims, customs, etc. So I think from a legal perspective, and I would like to hear your view on this, that an arm's length agreement or dealing with sister companies on arm's length basis, transfer pricing, etc., as if you're dealing or with the same discipline with a third party, could protect the arrangement between different companies within the same group?
Well, here we can talk about the governance and how managing internal and external governance can be a key factor for this kind of issues. I mean, it's normal to be considered as a standalone subsidiary in order to make sure of its profitability. So, because if I will neglect some kinds of costing, if I will recharge less as a mother company to one subsidiary, I'll never be able to compare between all the subsidiaries I have around the world. And today we're present in 60 countries. Imagine if we start to give facilities, different kind of facilities or adaptations to each and every country, we will never be able to make a fair comparison for business model. But what we're aligned on in all that is as simple as the small word of customer satisfaction. So the group will push me to have a full customer satisfaction. And when I talk about the customer, it's not only the final customer. As a service of finance, I'm in the service of my customers. My customers are supply chain team, the retail teams inside Decathlon, legal as well. Each one will have a relationship inside Decathlon with a customer-oriented mindset to have a satisfied or satisfied customer. Just to mention, yeah, so of course it's internal between Decathlon Egypt, Decathlon Group, but inside Decathlon Egypt within the different teams. And finally, with the final customers, I think we're among the rare people on the market who would give a warranty of 2 to 10 years depending on the product. Imagine returning after 3 years saying, my shoe is broken and I need to change it. And my responsibility is to make the customer satisfied, and he will go with a new pair of shoes. So we don't only, and this helps one more time for the sustainability of business model, acting as business partners for the sake of customer satisfaction, no matter what customer means.
Yeah, that's very interesting. So I see we're only 2 minutes from the end. As a final note, I just want to shed the light on the importance of the contracts. It is important no matter you're dealing with a third-party service provider or within the group as intercompany arrangement. It's not, the contract is not just a paperwork. It's very important to manage your operations. It puts a proper structure, and I think, like Sari was saying, observing the legal compliance and financial compliance even within the same group is important for sustainability. That's one, to consumer and customer protection, and the same time to have a protection for your cash flow, either downstream or upstream revenue. Sally, do you have final words?
Thank you, Michael, for this panel. Maybe I will ask the audience. We have 1 minute left. If someone wants to ask a question or like, I don't know.
Hi, this is Ahmed Riyad from Egypt. I am the VP Supply Chain for Raya Market. Okay, my question actually for you, Sally. You discussed today the financial issues and how to control cash flow. So what you are doing for one of the most important problems regarding the stock levels. which you have to keep it always at the levels that will give you the sales, and at the same time, it will not make overstock. So how you do this, especially you are working in a fashionizing retail, and always you have to renew your stock, and you have to get rid of the old fashions. So this is a very interesting for me to know.
Thank you. It's how to say, it's a very hot topic now, your question for Decathlon Egypt. So you know, for the previous 2-3 years, we've got issues in importing. It was quite complicated, and when the possibilities open to import, we opened the big time, and we've built a huge stock, especially that we opened 3 new stores in the past year, and the stock level increased drastically. And then we got surprised from the group that renewal rate for next year is more than 40%, meaning that we had to find a quick solution. And this is the ideal moment in which supply chain, finance, cash flow forecast, or treasury people work together. We've built as simple as this, a common Google sheet in which the supply will forecast for the next 12 months their expectations of purchases, my cash flow capabilities of financing the supply needs, and setting a stock lifetime target of number of days of stock. And we do this by globally, but also by sports, because we're splitted by sports, and by inside each sport categories. And it helps having at least a target that we get to measure every week, the availability rate, the end-of-line products percentage, and to make decisions right away. I can make a decision tomorrow to put a huge discount on a stock that has been there for 150 or 200 days, and that will be renewed very soon. Of course, in alignment with a proper margin, in order not to lose money or not to sell at a loss, because otherwise I'll have complications on fiscality and taxation. So I hope I answered your question. Thank you.
So our time is up.
Yes.
Thank you, everyone.